The story is again, it's a very powerful reminder of how our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs can shape our health and even help us heal as well. So let's see who was Joanne. Joanne was a 59 years old mother of five, a successful businesswoman, and a leader that everyone around her admired. In fact, people called her Superwoman. And honestly, she earned that title. She was one of those people who could somehow manage everything at once. She balanced a growing business, a demanding career, and a big family of five kids. She was the one people turned to be for get advice and support and inspiration. Her life was incredibly busy and very fast paced. Every day was a race against the clock. If someone needed help, Joanne was there. If there was a problem to fix, Joanne handled it. She was always pushing herself to do more, take on more, and be more. And from the outside looking in, it seemed like she had it all together. People saw her as strong, sharp, and unstoppable. But here's the thing, on the inside, it was a different story. Joanne was exhausted. She was overwhelmed. And the hardest part, she was incredibly hard on her own self. No matter how much she achieved, no matter how much she did for others, she constantly felt like it wasn't enough. She judged herself every step of the way, comparing herself to some impossible standard she could never seem to reach. So Dr. Jo beautifully put it in this book. She was never satisfied. Whatever she did or achieved was not never, it was not never good enough. So she was always want to do some more, more and more. She was never satisfied. And isn't that something so many of us can relate to, right? We're just running. The constant chasing, constantly doing, believing that if we just do a little more, we will finally feel okay about ourselves. But Joanne's story reminds us that living a life like that comes at a cost. And for her, that cost showed up in her health in a way she never expected. So in January 2008, Joanne's world changed. She wasn't feeling well on that day. She went to a clinic and collapsed in her apartment hallway. After months of tests, she was diagnosed with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, SPMS. It's a serious and often disabling disease where the immune system attacks the brain and spinal cord. The doctors told her it was incurable, and Joanne felt like her life was over. At first, Joanne tried to stay strong, but little by little, she lost her ability to walk. She started uh, using crutches, then a walker, and then a wheelchair. She fell into depression, started feeling isolated, rejected, and unworthy. She realized that for years she had kept herself so busy taking care of others and pretending to be okay that she never dealt with her own pain. And Dr. Dispenza says she constantly gave but never received because she never allowed herself to receive. Joanne had ignored her emotions for so long that her body finally made her stop. Then there is a turning point. One day she was lying in a bed and she made a decision. She is not going to give up. And she remembered reading a book from Dr. Dispenza that the brain doesn't know the difference between what we imagine and what's actually happening. So she started mentally rehearsing, started doing yoga, and first it was only in her mind. So remember, she's not doing it at real. She's just mentally started rehearsing yoga. But within a few weeks, she could actually do small physical poses. Even she started, standing for some time as well. Because remember, she was on wheelchair by now. But by just rehearsing mentally, she's doing yoga. She started standing up for some time. This progress gave her some hope. Joanne also started meditating every day, not just to quiet her mind, but to truly face her feelings. And she realized how sad, angry, and disconnected she had felt for years. Instead of running from these emotions, she began to release them now. She took responsibility of her own thoughts and stress and that made her sick. And she decided to change her inner world. Dr. Dispenza says the more she became conscious of her unconscious self, the more she gained dominion over that what she would hidden from view. A few months after her diagnosis, the years of struggle, Joanne decided to attend one of Dr. Dispenza's workshops. Now, up to that point, she had already been trying some of his practices, like visualizing herself walking, doing yoga in her mind, and trying to quiet her thoughts. But something was still missing. She wasn't yet feeling the emotions that go along with real healing. So at this workshop, everything started to click for her. Dr. Dispenza taught that it's not enough to just think about what you want. You have to feel it. You have to combine with a clear intention, like I will walk again, with powerful, elevated emotions like joy, gratitude, excitement, and love. And just it's already happened. And that was the missing piece for Joanne. Up to then, she had been hoping and wishing to heal someday. But at this event, she learned to fully imagine herself already healed. She began to feel what if it would be like to walk across a room, to feel her legs strong and steady beneath her, to laugh and move freely and to be healthy again. In the moment, she truly felt it, not just thought about it, she truly felt it, but really felt it in her heart. Then something inside her shifted. And then, at the very next workshop she attended, something incredible happened. During one of the meditations, Joanne felt a huge shift in her body. She later described it like a rush of energy, a deep sense of peace and joy all at once. And without even thinking, she stood up from her chair without her cane and walked across the room for the first time in years. She laughed, she cried, and most importantly, she felt completely free. As Joanne described it, it was like a weight was lifted, like the old me was gone. And in that moment, the heavy burden of years of fear, frustration, and illness melted away. She no longer identified as a sick person or a woman stuck in survival mode or the exhausted superwoman trying to do it all. No, she stepped into a new version of herself, one filled with hope, strength, and possibility. And from there, Joan's healing just kept unfolding. When Joanne went back home after that life changing workshop, the miracles didn't stop. She carried that same elevated emotion, that sense of possibility with her, and for the first time in years, she started physically doing yoga again, not just in her mind, but with her body in real. She noticed she could now lift her feet, she could flex her toes, she could wiggle them. Simple little moments most of us take for granted became huge victory for her. And every time she noticed even a small improvement, it fueled her belief even more. She knew deep down that something incredible was happening inside her. And 2 years later, Joan was still walking, completely unassisted. No wheelchair, no cane, no scooter. But it wasn't just about walking. She felt alive again, joyful, playful, light, free. The heavy, overwhelmed, exhausted version of Joan was gone. In her place was a woman who had rediscovered her spirit, her laughter, her gratitude for life. Even her neurologist, who at one point told her to stop hoping, well, was simply blown away after seeing Joan's progress with his own eyes. And through her medical reports, he admitted, "You have shown me the true power of the mind." But what's beautiful is that Joan didn't stop here. She made a promise to herself that she would never go back to her old ways of thinking and living. And that is important, my friend. Once you have that intention, you have to continue with that. Now, every single day, Joanne takes time to check in with herself, which normally we don't do that, right? But this is so important. We need to check ourselves time to time. So she checked in with herself to pay attention to her thoughts, what I'm thinking, her emotions, and her energy. If something negative creeps in, which is very common, she doesn't let it build up. She releases it, shifts her focus, and recenters herself in gratitude. So remember, masters, this is very important. How you deal with these negative emotions that we have in this world. We cannot just remove that from our surroundings in one day. We have to keep working on that. We need to keep reminding ourselves. In her own words, she says, "My life is magical, bubbling, sparkling, and tingling with a new, lighter version of the real me I had hidden all my life." And that, my friend, is the heart of Joan's story. A reminder that no matter how stuck, sick, or defeated we may feel, there is always a way to reconnect with our true, joyful, powerful self. Joan's healing didn't come from a pill or a procedure, it came from within. She became her own placebo. So, and why not be? Joan's story teaches us that we don't have to be victims of our diagnosis or circumstances. Our thoughts and emotions have a powerful effect on our health. We can change our reality by changing our mind and heart first. And as Dr. Dispenja says, when you change your mind, you change your health, your life, and your destiny. And Joanne became her own placebo, healing herself not with medication, but with her belief, with her emotions, and her inner work. If Joanne can do it, so can any of us. No matter what's happening outside, we can always start by working on the inside because the real healer lives within us. We are our own placebo. So, thank you so much for listening, Masters, and I hope you will join me again tomorrow. So, now let's sit comfortably and enjoy the meditation together. So, please cross your feet, clasp your hands, cross your fingers. If you are wearing glasses, please remove them now. Close your eyes, relax, take a deep breath in and out. Take another deep breath in and out. Now start focusing on your normal, natural, calmer breath. Be with your breath, Masters. Be with your breath. Thoughts will come and go. You don't need to analyze them. It's natural. Just focus on be with your breath, Masters. Now we'll meditate for next 45 minutes. Be with your breath, Masters. Natural. Be with your breath, Masters. Be with your breath. 5 minute masters. Be with your breath. Last 1 minute, masters. Be with your breath. Be with your breath, masters. Be with your breath. Last 30 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, very slowly, very gently, please bring back your attention, your awareness to your body. Put both of your palm on your closed eyes. Blink your eyes slowly and open them. Look at your palm with a big smile and thank yourself. Thank you, Masters. Thank you so much. Now, if you have any question or any comment, or if you want to share your meditation experience, please unmute yourself and share.
Okay.
All right, then. If there is no question, see you all tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.